So, while we were told, hello everybody, not to go on channels that promote the Hamas, I really feel we must expose despicable ones. It's another added D, like Dr. Craig Considine, why the Irish support Palestine. Wow. So let's talk about the 3Ds, and despicable is another one for I'm adding. So the 3Ds of anti-Semitizing. Delegitimizing, does he do that? Absolutely. He delegitimizes the state of Israel because he starts the histories at 1917 when the British recognized the historical rights of Jews to the land of Israel. But that's only a recognition. Doesn't mean the history starts. Do you even know the difference? Dr. Craig Considine, maybe we should add doctorate of distortion as another one of the Ds, the 3Ds, add to the 3Ds of anti-Semitism. Delegitimizing, he does that. Demonizing, yes, he does. He presents the Jews as attackers, as violent occupiers, as settlers in their own land. Like the Jews are settling, colonial force, settling our historical cities like Kiryat Arba, where Abraham and Sarah are buried, and so forth. And he has a double standard. So the Palestinians can do no wrong. They can behead babies, they can burn Jews alive. But let's look at some facts. The reasons they're burning Jews alive is not because they want to torture us, not only, and remind us of the Holocaust where Jews were burned, but it's to not only to desecrate the bodies, now we're adding more Ds, but to delete the Jews completely off the face of the earth. And it's not only Jews. Let's say you don't like Jews. You hate Jews for some reason. And let's think about Ireland. What is the dominant force in Ireland? It's the church. Yes, it's the Catholic Church. Okay, more hints. And what does the Catholic Church or the churches preach? They preach that the Jews killed Jesus. Historical fact? Not at all. But it is a belief. Not a belief. Let's say it's an anti-Semitic blood libel that has been spread for centuries, for as long as Christianity exists in its modern form. So let's look at Dr. Craig Considine. Where is this guy? What is he? So let's look at what a scholar he is. He is critically acclaimed filmmaker, I wonder what kind of films he makes, because God knows, pretty violent content and pretty distorted. And global speaker, wait, let me see what he is. Critically acclaimed filmmaker, media contributor, and global speaker on Christian-Muslim relations. What an oxymoron. What a contradiction in term. Christian-Muslims. So if you know anything about Islam, is that the fact that Christians and Jews aren't part of their deal. And Islamic studies. An award-winning professor, because that makes him tell the truth, of course. Once you have the professor title, that legitimizes every bullshit you say. And best-selling author, which is even more sad, based on Rice University. So I'm here in Israel, and we have rocket attacks. So if you hear noise, just know what you're dealing with. His name is Dr. Craig Considine, a proud Irishman. Well, I have Irish people in my family. My sister was married to an Irish UN guy who is a big supporter of Israel, by the way. He is Irish. Joe Biden is Irish. He's a big supporter of Israel. I have many friends that are Irish American that are supporters because they don't support the bullshit. Now he has a PhD. Guess who else has a PhD? Abbas, the head of the PA, Palestinian Authority. Now let's address his channel and his bullshit. So let's look at his bullshit ideas. So he's a big lover of Islam. And let's look at Islam. Let's just, you don't need an academic degree, which I have a master's degree from an American university. Unfortunately, my BA is only from one of the best universities in the world. Interesting enough, the universities in Israel are like on the list of the best in the world, and I don't see any Arab universities on that list for some reason. I wonder why. So let's just Google Islam, and you have Islam originated in Mecca and Medina, not Jerusalem, not Israel. Surprise, surprise. At the start of the 7th century. Well. Jesus is the beginning of the century, as we mark it, the Common Era it's called, right? You would think a professor would know that. Does he know that? Obviously not. Islam started in the 7th century. When did Judaism start? Well, a few thousand years prior to that, according to, let's say you don't believe the Bible, because, the Catholics don't believe the Bible. So what do they do every Sunday at church? Not read the Bible, not worship Jesus. Let's say the Irish are heathens, which is not true. The Irish are quite religious, and they follow the Catholic Church quite in a strict way. So they follow, therefore, Jesus, because Jesus is at the heart. I mean, if it wasn't for Jesus, there wouldn't be a church, would it? The Irish wouldn't have a church to pray to on Sunday. They wouldn't have the whole business of Catholic Church started by a Jewish guy. Are you going to deny it? Yes, I've seen Palestinians denying Jesus was a Jew. Well, dig into history, archaeology, etc. And you won't find Muslims living there thousands of years ago or indigenous to the land. So it started the 7th century. Islam, the main idea is the return to the original faith of the Abrahamic. Abrahamic means Abraham. Was Abraham an Irish? Was he a Palestinian? Well, they'll convince you too. The Abrahamic prophets, Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, and so forth, and Jesus. So once we know Jesus was a Jew, I don't think the Irish really do support Palestine. What they support is the distorted idea fed to them by people such as this Irish scholar, who is a lecturer at Rice University and who God knows where else. The American academia is plagued by people like him, and we have our own Jewish stars like Norman Finkelstein, and to name a few, and Noam Chomsky, who is their big heroes. They completely distort history. They completely present a distorted view of what history is. History didn't start in 1917. Zionism didn't start in 1800. It started thousands of years ago. The Jews have been praying to Jerusalem since they built it. And Palestinian means in Roman, it started by the Romans. There's the connection to Ireland again. The Romans actually coined the term Palestine, and that means invaders, because the Palestinians were invaders. The land of Israel has been historically occupied again and again by the empires that he claims the Jews were sent by. I don't think the British sent Jews to Israel, because actually the historical fact is they prevented Jews from escaping the Holocaust. My own mother managed somehow, she was one of the minorities that managed to get to Israel in 1941 from Europe, because it was either Israel or concentration camp. The British prevented Jews. They cooperated with the local Arabs who cooperated with the Nazis. So the Jews had to fight the British in Israel, and they had to cooperate with the British fighting in Europe, who didn't, by the way, bomb Auschwitz or concentration camps, because they had their own interests. But the Irish definitely don't have a friend in the Palestinians. In fact, Palestinians who live in Ireland are not going to contribute anything like the Jews have contributed. I mean, the Irish are well known for literature. Name me one Palestinian Nobel Prize winner in literature or medicine or anything. Name me one Palestinian who published a book worth reading that doesn't include demonizing Jews. Name me one professor who has a best-selling book that doesn't entail distorting and demonizing Israel. So I think maybe the drunk, intoxicated Irish support Palestine, but definitely anybody that has a phone and can Google will discover that everything this guy is preaching and this is supposed to be science, right? He has a doctorate. But so does Mahmoud Abbas of the Palestinian Authority, has a PhD on Holocaust denying. He actually has a PhD, a doctorate in denying the Holocaust, the most horrific massacre of human beings in history of recorded history of human beings was actually false. And already now there are people denying the acts of barbaric monstrosity by the Hamas Palestinians. They're not Swedish, Norwegian, they're Palestinians. And they're the ones celebrating 9/11. They're the same ones cheering on as raped dead bodies. They're the ones that went and desecrated the bodies, living and dead, of children. They actually they have 0% Jews living in Arab world, and you telling me about ethnic cleansing? How many Jews live in Gaza? Well, more than 200 now because they were kidnapped. The only Jews that are in Gaza are the kidnapped ones. Go try to phone any company in Israel, like my internet server or anyone, you will have a recording in Arabic. All the signs in the buses are in Arabic. We have 25% Arabs living here. And yes, they were the target of the Palestinians too. So how does that go along with your kill the Jews is okay, legitimizing doctorate? Yeah, that's what I don't get. You know, the Bedouins were targeted. The Israeli Arabs were targeted. Their children were murdered too. Nobody talks about that. They only show the Palestinians in Gaza. And where are the leaders? Where are their academic? Where are their professors? They're not in Gaza. They are, by remote control, telling them not to leave. The Israeli army tells them to evacuate areas where the Hamas leaders are. They don't allow them to evacuate. They threw a rocket on a hospital, on a Catholic hospital or Presbyterian, some kind of Christian hospital. In 5 seconds, there were 500 dead. They counted the dead and blamed Israel for it. Well, it turns out it was a rocket, and there's silence in the media. Nobody talks about that. Dr. Craig Considine doesn't sound like an Irish name, but doesn't matter. He knows his Irish history, and he knows my Jewish history. He knows that my history started in 1917, that we are sent by empires, but the facts speak completely otherwise. He's not interested in facts. The academia is not interested in facts. But please, if you like facts, if you like history, if you like to actually support facts and not promote Palestinian invaders bullshit who invaded the land of Israel and actually have no recorded history of ever setting up a society here. Archaeology has so much evidence of Jews living here thousands of years ago. We were sent into exile twice and we came back to claim our land, and we actually had to buy it back, which is completely distorted, that a person should have to buy back his own land. Did you have to buy back Ireland? Yes? Were you sent into exile? No. Irish people have left Ireland by millions. They settled in America like your ancestors, Dr. Considine. They settled everywhere. They actually left because of the atrocities, yes, committed by the British there. They left. Jews didn't. You know, we are just growing by numbers. There are more Jews coming to Israel. You know why? Because there's so much anti-Semitism around the world that they prefer to be here with the rockets and everything, and to be with our people than to be with liars like you. Please expose this man and stop the lies. It's very tragic that somebody takes Ireland, a culture I love. I love Ireland. I visited it. I have blood relatives. My nieces are Irish Canadians, Jewish Irish Canadians they're Irish from their father's side. And I have a big bond. I love James Joyce, and Oscar Wilde is my favorite writer of all times. I've been to his grave in Paris. And I ask myself, how can you take the great Irish culture and demonize it by connecting it to terrorists? I mean, the IRA was a terror group. That I can see a connection there, but they were really fighting against the British invasion. But the Jews didn't invade. They actually purchased land here. The modern Zionists had to purchase lands. And yes, parts of it were conquered in a war nobody wanted. But what did we conquer? Land that was Gaza appears in the Bible that you pray to every Sunday, Irish people. So Do the Irish really support Hamas and Palestinians? I think the only reason they might is because there's anti-Semitism promoted by the Catholic Church in Ireland. That's the only reason, because there's no sane reason to support the very people who murdered the people of Jesus. There's no reason for an Irish person to do that. So speak up against these channels. There are a lot of channels. There are also Jewish professors who are doing that. Because it's popular. It's popular to promote Palestinian bullshit. It's popular to deny. I mean, the atrocities in Israel of mass demonized massacre started at October 7th. We're now October 25th. And already now they're denying it. They actually filmed it and they're denying it. They actually can say in one sentence, one word, and another sentence completely deny it. And this is the test of lies and distortions. There's no consistency. There's no facts. And it is, again, let me repeat, delegitimizing Jews' rights in the land of Israel based on lies, not on historical facts. Demonizing Jews and Israelis, calling them settlers as if people who live in their historical homeland are demons. And a double standard. So there has never been a Jewish human being who has done anything even remotely like what they did in October 7th. And through years, just me, I witnessed so many terror acts on me as a civilian person. And I can tell you one more thing that we really have to stop and report. People who say that the Israelis and the Arabs are the same, the Palestinians are the same. First of all, don't generalize all Israeli Arabs and all Muslims, because there are a lot of Muslims that are disgusted by this. So let's add another D. Be disgusted and report such channels by all means.